Village Board meeting to order. Could you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to ask Pastor David Shorts to please come up and do our invocation. Is he here? Couldn't make it in. Okay, well, we'll move on then. Let's do the roll call, please. This time, I'd like our lawyer, Larry Grzuski, to please read your proclamation, if you don't mind, Larry.
Thank you, Mayor.
This is for the lightweights and the junior varsity. And before he starts, I want to say, what a score you both teams scored. The other team didn't have a chance for some problem. Larry?
I have two proclamations. The first one's a proclamation acknowledging the success of the Monee Village football team. Whereas the children of the Village of Monee have been afforded the opportunity to participate in several activities, including youth football known as Monee Mavericks. Whereas the Monee Mavericks consist of two dynamite teams, namely the Monee Lightweight Mavericks and the Monee Mavericks Junior Varsity, along with a top-notch cheering team. Whereas with the help and guidance of the dedicated coaching staff of Monee Mavericks, these teams participated in the Illinois Valley Youth Tackle Football League. Whereas all the children who participate in the Monee Mavericks program make the residents and the officials proud year in and year out. Whereas on or about October 28, 2017, our Monee Maverick lightweight team earned the right to compete in the annual Super Bowl contest in Bradley, Illinois. Whereas family, friends, and supporters traveled down I-57 to cheer on our athletes. Whereas the lightweight Maverick team took on the Moments Junior Redskins and proved victorious in a 25-6 hard-fought win. Whereas our athletes displayed character, skill, and sportsmanship not only during the Super Bowl, but throughout the entire season. Whereas our heartfelt congratulations are extended to our athletes and cheerleaders. Whereas congratulations are also due to coaches and volunteers who, without their sacrifice and commitments, none of these accomplishments would be possible. Whereas, last but not least, congratulations are in order to the parents of these fine children for your guidance and support, which these children are a reflection of yourselves. Whereas, we would like to thank the Bradley Lions for being gracious and friendly hosts. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by Mayor James Pop and the Board of Trustees that November 12, 2017 as Monee Maverick Lightweight Division Football Day in Monee, Illinois, and extend our appreciation to all of its players, coaches, parents, and supporters. We, as elected officials, wish you continued success in all your endeavors, both on and off the field. We have the utmost confidence that the next year our Monee Mavericks lightweight team will be again crowned champions. Approved and adopted the 7th day of November.
This time I'd like the lightweights to step forward. I know you all would like to take pictures. And if you could all come up right in front of that desk in front of me. And your coaches.
This is my part. Mr. Ryan is mine. These two are on the side. This is my half. Trust yours. Which one? My half. House in my house.
Bring the cheerleaders forward too, please. Thank you very much, fellas. We're very proud of you and your division. At this time, we have another proclamation to read.
Almost identical, but this team also deserves recognition. Whereas the children of the village of Monee have been afforded the opportunity to participate in several activities, including youth football known as Monee Mavericks. Whereas the Monee Mavericks consist of two dynamite teams again, namely the Monee Maverick Lightweight Team and the Monee Maverick Junior Varsity, along with the top-notch cheerleading and coaches. Whereas with the help and guidance of a dedicated coaching staff of the Monee Mavericks, these teams participated in the Illinois Valley Youth Tackle Football League. And whereas all the children who participate in the Monee Mavericks program make the residents and its officials proud every year and every year out. Whereas on or about October 28th, our Monee Maverick Junior Varsity team earned the right to compete in the annual Super Bowl contest in Bradley, Illinois. Again, whereas family, friends, and supporters traveled down I-57 to cheer on our athletes. Whereas our junior varsity team squared off against the Morris Chiefs and pulled out a 33-6 victory. Whereas our athletes displayed character, skill, and sportsmanship not only during the Super Bowl, but throughout the entire season. Once again, our heartfelt congratulations are extended to our athletes and cheerleaders. Whereas congratulations are also due to coaches and volunteers. Without their sacrifice and commitment, none of these accomplishments would be possible. Whereas last but not least, congratulations are in order to the parents of these fine children for your guidance and support, for which these children are a reflection of yourselves. Whereas we'd like to thank the Bradley Lions once again for being gracious and friendly host. Now therefore be it proclaimed by Mayor James Pop and the Board of Trustees that November 12, 2017 as Monee Mavericks Junior Varsity Football Day in Monee, Illinois. And again, extend our appreciation to all its players, coaches, parents, and supporters. We as elected officials wish you continued success in all of your endeavors, both on and off the field. We have the utmost confidence that next year our Monee Maverick Junior Varsity team will be crowned champions once again. Approved and adopted the 7th day of November 2017.
Before I call the junior varsity and the juniors forward, I just wanted to say that, fellas, you don't realize, the coaches do a little bit, that this goes far beyond football. I understand what a team effort it is and what the coaches go through to coach you guys to learn that. But you're putting Monee on the map, and that means a lot to myself, my administration, my trustees. It helps our community. People might even want to move out here when they say, boy, they got a great sports program, parks and recs, and all these different things. So I want to personally, and along with the trustees, thank you again, and let's clap for them once more. And now could you all please come forward for a picture. Cheerleaders and football players.
Don't worry about me.
And coaches. Oh, thank you so much. All right. Look at this. How's that? Would you mind standing? Thank you all so much. There you go, guys. And I understand, you just don't have to stay there for the whole meeting. We're glad you came. But you're welcome to stay as long as you wish. At this time, we'll do open to the public. Anybody have any, must be an agenda item? You have 3 minutes or longer. So if anyone wants to come forward, be my guest.
Open to the public. Sit.
Number 7.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Discussion, any changes? If none, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Michelle is graciously filling in for our clerk, Delisha. She's still recovering from a C-section, baby, so she's recuperating. Thank you, Michelle. Has there been a report? You have nothing, okay? Under the mayor's report, I have an appointment of Thomas Kuth as our village prosecutor. I must say that he's replacing David Brower. David was probably here, I've been told, 40 years. And he's recommended this gentleman. We had a meeting with him, myself, Larry, David, there too. And we feel that he is a very proper appointment. The man has credentials to do the job, and recommended by a 40-year employee. I would like a motion to appoint Thomas Kuhn, village prosecutor. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, we need a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that?
That's a 4-year term. Did I hear that correctly? Okay.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Very much. We'll move on to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In your packet, you have the item H1 is a letter of engagement, and this letter is to engage the professional services of Daryl Davidson. This is, Mr. Davidson is a bond attorney, and his services are engaged in to assist us in closing down TIF District Number 2. And I believe all the information was attached. And at this point, we would ask concurrence and a motion to authorize the engagement of professional services of Daryl Davidson, I'm sorry, from Miller, Canfield, Paddock, and Stone.
So moved.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Horn.
Yes.
Razak.
Yes.
Blue. Yes. Vincent. Yes. Alston.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is item H2, which is the ratification of a telephone poll that was taken amongst the trustees. And basically, it is to do some ancillary work that is in conjunction, but not part of, the Egyptian Trail reconstruction project. And Superintendent Grizel was able to engage P.T. Farrow, who is the contractor on the Egyptian Trail project, to do some road work on Wilson and to honor the already bid pricing that is in conjunction with the Egyptian Trail process. Because the amount would exceed $20,000, we are asking that the board move to waive the bid process for the required repairs to Wilson Street, and secondly, a motion to approve P.T. Farrow as the contractor for Wilson Street repairs and to use the established bid prices under Egyptian Trail reconstruction project in an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Must mention to the trustees that this is a bargain price in the respect that that's why there's no bid going on. They're on the project now. They gave us a very low price for it. I'm not saying they're not making a buck, but they're not making a whole lot of bucks. So I need a motion, please.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Any other discussion?
I actually have one question. Was the concrete or the asphalt cut already? I know that myself and Administrator Wallace had one question about traffic coming and going. Are we going all the way back to the driveway of the medical center? It looks like some of Wilson Street has been cut, but yet there's maybe 20 feet of like really bad asphalt. Are we also going to have them fix that too?
That is continuing east past the entrance to that driveway you're speaking of, which goes into the medical center there. So we'll bring it back east of that and should incorporate this section of roadway you're speaking of.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Razak.
Yes.
Vincent. Yes. Blue. Yes. Gray.
Yes.
Alston.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Thank you, and I understand that would be the motion to waive the bid process. And now we would request a motion to approve PT Farrell's, the contractor, in an amount not to exceed $25,000.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion on the motion? If not, roll call, please.
Blue. Yes. Gray.
Yes.
Alston.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Razak.
Yes.
Vincent. Yes.
Thank you very much. Item H3 on the agenda is a resolution to use motor fuel tax for the purpose of bulk salt purchase for the current fiscal year 2018. Just a note for reference, the product bidding for the requested quantities was actually $1.03 per ton lower than the previous year. Attached is a copy of the resolution for your review. We would ask approval of the resolution.
Second.
Discussion?
I just have one question.
Go ahead, Jen.
For my edification. Do we normally use this particular source of funds for the salt?
Yes, the funds that we are using are motor fuel tax funds. They are a restricted fund. We receive those motor fuel tax allocations from the state, and therefore when we expend those funds, they have to be approved by resolution and sent to the state for authorization. Yes.
I might say to you, Janet, that the mayor asked that exact question when we were going over the agenda this week. Roll call, please.
Gray.
Yes.
Alston.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Razak.
Yes.
Vincent. Yes. Blue. Yes. It's resolution number 2017-1.
Thank you very much. Item H4 on your agenda is a TIF payout request for TIF number 3 made by AP Ridgeland Avenue LLC in the amount of $755,785.50. The staff has validated that 2016 property taxes, which are payable in 2017, have in fact been paid in full, and that everything is in accordance with the redevelopment agreement. Therefore, we would ask authorization to make this payment.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion.
What percent of their taxes represent?
This is a payout request of 80% of the increment generated.
How many more years do we have on this?
If I may, I don't think trustee Wallace was present, we approved, I think it's 2025. That used to be the old Michelin facility that was sold to Venture One, which was sold to AP Ridgeland, and we renegotiated the note on March 8th of 2017.
Thank you.
Those were the discussion part. For the public's knowledge, our TIFs are in good, healthy position. When you hear that amount of money, it's kind of scary, but there's money in the TIF to do this. It's all a planned thing, negotiated when we do different projects within a TIF. So don't worry that we're overspending. We're really watching that. So
I believe for the record, this TIF was negotiated, or this particular deal was negotiated in 2004, or was signed in 2004 as well. And I believe it was at 90%, and we got it down to 80% on the renegotiation, so we're actually saving a little bit of money based upon what it was before.
you're just supporting the statement all the more, David. Thank you. Trustee Olson, I should say. Okay, roll call, please.
Alston.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Razak.
Yes.
Vincent. Yes. Blue. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Item H5 on the agenda is also a TIF number 3 payout request. This request has been submitted by Exeter Property Group in the amount of $667,985.48. and as per the terms of the redevelopment agreement. Again, staff has validated that the 2016 property taxes payable in 2017 have been paid in full, and that the request is in line with the redevelopment agreement. The only additional request I would make on this is that this request is approved subsequent to the receipt of the transfer. What do I want to say, Larry?
Assignment?
Yes, assignment. Thank you.
Have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Any discussion on it?
Same question as the last one, is this an 80% payout?
Yes, sir, it is.
And when does it expire?
I believe it's the same, 2025. This agreement, if I recall, was with Bailey Ridge 431 LLC, who subsequently sold it to, I believe, Alpico Loan Company, who subsequently sold it to this present note holder.
Yeah, I believe, I don't have the figures here with me, but it's still generating to the village around $200,000 a year in taxes that we do get to keep.
I believe that's accurate.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Horn,
Yes.
Olston,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Razak,
Yes.
Vincent, Blue.
Thank you very much. Just a couple of other comments under my report. I would like to report to the board that the Laraway Communications Center project, which is a consolidation of our emergency dispatch centers, is moving along, and it appears that all of the dispatchers now will be employees of the county, and the county will handle all the insurance and everything affiliated with employees as far as hiring and termination and any type of disciplinary action. Additionally, the time frame for the consolidation startup is in, I believe it's about the 14th of December or thereabouts, that they'll start bringing dispatchers in and actually closing down centers. Our center that we dispatched from, or that served our area, the police and Monee Fire Protection District here, was dispatched out of Eastcom, which was located in Crete. And that is one of the first centers that will be housed at the new facility on Laraway Road. So that is just an update for the elected officials. Second is a report, I just received a report this evening that the property tax freeze legislation has passed the House at a vote of about 74 to 31 in that range, and it now moves on to the Senate for approval. And all of our legislative cogs, South Suburban Mayors and Managers, the Will County Governmental League, as well as the Illinois Municipal League, are urging all of the representatives, both elected as well as residents, contact the state senators representative of your area and urge them to oppose that property tax freeze. And that will probably be called to vote tomorrow, as they are currently in veto session, I believe. And I think we'll end at the end of the week here. And last but not least is we did receive official notification from the Illinois Department of Transportation closing out a project that has long been ongoing with the village here and the state of Illinois. It's the Safe Routes to School project on Will Center Road, and I know the project has been completed for a while, but officially those records have been closed with the state, and that wraps it up. Happy to answer any questions. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report this evening.
Okay, I neglected to mention something that I wanted to bring up. I I had all the TIF things and what have you on top of my piece of paper here. I know that Trustee Holston mentioned that they were advertising the Municipal League's handbook is available for trustees and what have you. Showing you a picture of it. I think you all got a copy. This handbook helps you a lot, especially new trustees. It's a guide. It's about 600 pages. It provides answers to commonly asked questions from newly elected officials and seasoned professionals alike. It's a $40 item, so if any of the trustees would like one, I'd like you to just let probably Mr. Wallace or Kathy, his secretary, know, and we'll order them accordingly. Okay. Now we'll move on to officials report, Public Works. Trustee Gray.
I have a few things this evening. Real quickly, there is already 5 minor water main breaks, mostly in the older part of town. I believe one was even earlier this week. The one this week they went and looked at, they thought it was just a minor leak, but then when they dug deeper, they found out that the bolts in the actual pipe, it was so rusted out they had to replace that. And there was actually a date on those pipes that were back from the 80s or early 90s. So again, it was in the older part of town, but people are questioning the water quality, but they are doing their best to fix everything, and it has nothing to do with the other part of town, only the main section. And when our public works is out there, they actually let the residents know they might actually shut the water down for a few hours so that they can get these pipes fixed. But again, with the older part of town, these actually had the dates on them back from the 80s and early 90s. So what they thought was going to be a minor project turned out to be a little bit more major than they expected. So hopefully this winter we don't get killed with water main breaks in January 2nd and it's 10 degrees outside. So, but already we've had 5 minor ones. With the Egyptian Trail, the major project that is going on, they are looking to do throw the asphalt down, sorry, I was thinking something else here. We're looking to do the asphalt either the end of this week or the beginning of next week, depending on the weather. And yes, they do work on the weekends. They were out there working on the roundabout a couple weekends ago on a Saturday for 6 or 7 hours. So it's not like they're stopped. When they can get the work in, they're doing the work. We're going to be putting the asphalt down in first, again, anywhere from the 10th to the 13th. Then they're going to be hopefully dropping the concrete in the roundabout, which the frame is already set up the following week between the 16th and the 22nd. And again, that just depends on the weather. And then they will be working on the curbs and the driveways that go along Egyptian Trail and in Court Street. So they're still on plan to be done by the end of this year. Again, I understand the tedious work and the inconvenience that sometimes when PT Farrell's out there at 7:30 in the morning digging and you can't get around them. I'm in it too. It is what it is. Everybody has to work. Just be patient. Be careful, because we do have some people that just decide to go wherever they want to go. It's the best way to put it. But everything is still on schedule, and you will see them out there dropping the asphalt. They've been pushing the dirt for 2 days to level everything out, and we'll go from there. Hopefully the weather holds up for them, and this will be done by the end of the season. So, end of report.
If I may tag on to that, Bill, Trustee Gray, because I'm retired and I am the mayor, I do go over to that project at least twice a week. They know my car. The engineer from Farnsworth comes right up to me. I have complimented them on the quality of the job. And they know I'm happy with the work they do, see. So then Administrator Wallace and David Grizel go to a meeting with P.T. Farrell and let it be known that there's a completion date. If you don't make the completion date, you're going to pay the penalty. And it's not cheap. We're talking over $1,000 a day. So all of a sudden they're working Saturdays. Gee, I wonder why. So Hopefully it will be completed this year, weather permitting. They know they're going to be penalized if it's not. So I have to put that in, David. Bill, you're Bill. Okay, we'll move on to Parks and Recs. Trustee Vincent.
Thank you. Monee Parks and Rec is really getting ready for Christmas. We've got Santa Claus, it's a movie that'll be November 17th. There's a holiday shopping trip that'll be December 1st. There's a senior luncheon December 4th, a tree lighting on December 2nd, and also we've got Santa's mailbox. So the kids are very welcome to write a letter to Santa, and he will write back. So the mailbox is there, and we're ready for Christmas. Thank you.
And kudos to you, Diana. You're doing a great job. We'll move on to Finance. Trustee Holston.
Couple things. The next meeting for the Finance Committee has been changed from the 13th to the 20th. So it'll be at 4 o'clock on the 20th. The levy discussion that Trustee Walsh brought up will be a big part of that discussion that will have a significant impact because that's one of our major revenue increases potentially every year. And with contracts where we have increases we have to give to the employees, pension fund issues, and other issues, it's going to create some challenges along with the 2% reduction in revenue that we're getting from the state because of the fee they're now charging for the collection of one of the taxes. So the Finance Committee will be discussing that beginning this meeting on the 20th. I would encourage any of the trustees that would like to attend. The audit findings are final. All the trustees should have a copy of the final report in your mailbox. Can we get that done there? So expect you to have that read and questions by Tuesday next week. Seriously. The findings are basically pretty good. I mean, very little issues in there, and its findings are, I think, pretty good in there. But again, they're there for you if you'd like to review them. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to Economic Development. Trustee Blue.
No report today.
Oh my God. Okay. We'll move on to Building Services. Trustee Warren.
Good evening. So we have some different things going on in town. First of all, we address the 226036 County Fair. This is a project run by Delaney Construction. It continues to move forward, and NICOR is connecting gas lines on that. 260881 County Fair, which is almost across the street. That's a project by Seamus Construction. They've had several inspections this week, and they have recently added the public walk. 6924 Tricia Court. They are pouring a foundation this week. 25646 Governor's Highway. That's the Sheets project. They've made progress in the back half of this future location. Actually, every day you go by, there's some new progress on that, especially on the outside. 5139 Fairgrounds. They have been given until Monday, this coming Monday, 11/13, to bring their property into compliance. That is a rental home. It is rented from a company called American Homes. They are aware of the situation. We have received a set of plans for an office called Athletico. They are a physical therapy company. They will locate directly in the building, directly next to Therese Bogues, the dentist. So that mall is shopping center is being filled up. Mays and Monee Liquors, the contractor has received all the reviews and have permits approved. We are just waiting for them to pick up. And I would like to take this time, since I have the floor, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Aqua potential water rate increase. And I believe that they are increasing it to, at least their proposal is to about 70%. I may be off on that by a few points. But that is going before, is it the ICC?
Yes.
Yeah. So I know we've had things on our website and on the marquee outside urging people to, there's a website you can go to and let them know your opinion, whether you're for or against it. I suspect most people are against that. I thought of what can we do as a village to register our disapproval of this. I would be in favor of Larry drawing up a resolution, letting Aqua know our displeasure on this and that we are certainly against that. Now, this does not affect us completely because we do not get our water from Aqua, but our storm water and so forth goes down. That's called the outflow. Is that correct? Am I correct with that?
Correct, our sanitary.
Sanitary, thank you.
And Doug, may I just throw in there, while you're talking about that part of it, it's one of our largest bills. Just so you know, one of our larger bills, I should say. So if they increase it anywhere near 70%, it's a big hit.
So I believe it's important for our board to show solidarity with our citizens who are rightfully concerned about this and living in the state of Illinois, and it seems nickel and dimes every year. Fees and taxes go up, and it affects all of us just as much as our constituents. So we probably need, do we need a vote on that for a resolution, calling for a resolution?
I would, Trustee Horn, I would also bring up that the village webpage has a link that you can go to register online and register objection. As of 5 o'clock today, there were 222 people who had gone online and registered their objections, so that's another avenue we have as well.
End of report, Tom?
That's the end of my report, but I do have a question there to whoever would like to answer that, council or Administrator Wallace.
Thank you. I think if the board deems appropriate, it'd probably be best to put it in the record to authorize myself to draft the resolution for your review. And it would be reviewed at the next board meeting, which is
We're not sure.
sometime. But it's probably best in the record to authorize myself to draft it, and then at that time the board can take a formal vote on it.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Fraser,
Yes.
Blue,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Alston,
Yes.
Horn,
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
And I just want to tag on that again, if you don't mind. If you notice, Trustee Holston talked about the state taking a 2% tax from us. Trustee Horn is mentioning what Aqua's trying to do. This is not the norm. I'll say it that way. So we're getting bombarded a little bit. We're going to do everything we can to keep costs down as much as we can. But understand that products cost more. Our labor costs us a little more each year. We try to be modest, but so things go up. And right now the money's not going up. So we hope that bringing more businesses in and things like that, we can increase some of our areas that we can pick up some greenbacks. Let me say it that way to you. So we're working on it very diligently, okay? We're here for you. So please, as the trustee said, get your input. Let them know how you feel about it, okay? Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to...
Mr. Mayor,
yes?
can I just say one other thing?
Sure, Janet.
I'm not sure if the village has put a statement out about Aqua and suggesting if they haven't. I haven't seen it on Facebook or any of the social media sites, but that could be perhaps a way to inform some of our residents that this is what you need to do and put a link on there. If someone could do that for you. Not from the website.
It's on the village website, page 1, homepage.
Not from the website, but I could put something on Facebook and other social media sites.
Oh, you mean on Facebook?
Yeah, that would be really useful.
Okay, good, Jim. Any other comments on that? Okay, we'll move on to public safety. Trustee Racick.
I got a few things. Monee Police Department is deferring to, all right, The Monee Police Department is deferring to the Will County Sheriff's Office for Amazon traffic control during the holiday period. The manpower requests were considered too challenging for a department our size. Monee Police Department will be available to fill in for the sheriff's officers when a shortage exists. Deputies will begin directing traffic from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. and again from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. beginning November 12th. On a lighter note, the Monee Police Department will participate in No Shave November. Officers will be allowed to grow facial hair during November to show support for the fight against cancer. Each participating officer will contribute to a fund which will then be turned over to a charity in support of the fight against cancer. Those who may not possess the DNA needed to grow facial hair are also invited to support the fight against cancer.
That's good, that's good.
Finally, Public Safety is asking the board, again, to authorize Attorney Gruszewski to move forward in drafting language for the Egyptian Trail addition to the parking ordinance. Project is moving forward and we need to have the parking parameters in place prior to completion. As previously discussed, there would be no parking on Egyptian from Monee Manhattan to Route 50, no parking on Court Street from Egyptian to Route 50, and west from the roundabout approximately 50 feet. Side note, this issue was to be discussed at the Planning and Zoning meeting, which has been canceled. And beginning of the meeting, Administrator Wallace handed out a map showing where all the no parking would be on the Egyptian Trail, highlighted in pink.
I have a question for you. I don't recall seeing many cars parked on the Egyptian Trail.
Okay, but what they parked there now?
No, I'm just saying, is it an issue? That was my question.
It could be, but it's not.
Yes, occasionally it is.
Okay, thank you.
My issue still is the people that park on Wilson and on Court Street, west of Egyptian Trail. Ever since you brought this up, Trustee Raisin, I look at the same cars that are sitting there. So I have no problem with the Egyptian Trail or east of that, but the families that live right there on the corner have multi-vehicles and there are cars parked there constantly in the street. And if you're going to try and take that parking away, we're going to have an issue because, again, as I discussed, when we widen the streets, it used to be no parking on one side of the street or the other.
It's only for 50 feet.
There's still trucks there. I guarantee there's a red truck sitting there right now.
Wilson?
Court.
West Court.
West of Egyptian, right on Court. Right across the street from our former trustee Pearson's house. They have 34 vehicles and the red truck is sitting there all the time because they don't block the sidewalks, they put the trucks out the street. That's my only issue is west of Egyptian Trail.
Looks like we got different maps here.
Yeah, well, that's one county map.
That's just basically.
Oh, we got a part.
The map that you have depicts the roundabout. There is no map. I didn't see that one, sorry.
That's the one Mr. Wallace.
Yeah, that's for Egyptian Trail.
If you look, see, it's a concrete item here in front of the house you're talking about. That's what's going to affect that. That's why there needs to be no parking there.
If you look
This side of the room doesn't have that.
No, you got to put it together.
But again,
it's one big
again, I lived it. I know what vehicles and what houses I'm speaking of. That's my only issue is.
But it's only for the, it's just because of the concrete island that's being put in.
I understand that, which it's all
If
there.
they park in front of it, then they're not going to get around.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, can I- in response to some of the concerns and comments here, the roundabout is specifically to keep traffic moving, and therefore it is our public safety responsibility to make sure that traffic is able to flow freely and unobstructed on our streets. The recommendation by public safety through the police chief was to, in investigating that with the public works, was to move the no parking 50 feet from the roundabout 50 feet to the west. Although parking on municipal streets is allowed. It is a privilege. It is not a right. It is up to this board in order to establish where you allow that privilege to take place. And the hierarchy of concern should be the motoring public first and the parking of vehicles second, if I may offer that advice to the board. Thank you.
So the people that come down Wilson now and get to Egyptian Trail and go left to get to Wilson, isn't that a hazard?
I didn't follow that, I'm sorry.
You're going west, down Wilson, past Miss Neelander's house, towards the medical center. You get to Egyptian Trail, clearly says one way going north, and I lose count because I gave up on it. How many people take a left to go to Wilson? Isn't that a hazard?
It most certainly is if it's posted.
Oh, it's absolutely.
Yes, and this is during construction?
Oh, it's during.
Yes, my point is, once construction is over, I would anticipate that that would be a regular intersection.
Oh, right, once construction's over.
Okay.
But it's a hazard now when you're coming off of Wilson and someone's coming right at you.
I can totally agree with that, and I believe the chief is listening to what's going on here, so we can certainly address that.
I personally have witnessed countless cars going the wrong way.
Correct.
They come through the barricade, not through it, but alongside it. It says, do not enter, you know.
And I'm personally tired of the village getting beat up by social media.
Sure.
Because people think that they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I've expressed it thousands of times of being a village official. We don't get away with just because we're village officials. So I'm just saying, I get it, what gives these people the right until somebody goes head on with you.
We pay the same permit fees for anything
Right.
we want to,
Anything, water.
or anything, David,
Right.
okay. I mean, Bill. Okay.
Can I ask, is this for discussion, are we looking for a motion?
For the promotion, so we can, hopefully vote it on, or have
Well-
Larry draft up an ordinance, or to amend the parking ordinance to add on.
You're the trustee, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll definitely make a motion.
I'll second that.
To drop a draft.
Yes, draft an ordinance to amend the parking ordinance, or new place.
Any other discussion on this? If not, roll call, please.
Vincent.
Yes.
Fraser.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Blue.
Yes.
Alston.
Yes.
Craig.
Yes.
I do have one other question. Are we going to give direction on how to use a roundabout?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are we going to give direction on how to use a roundabout?
It'll be pretty conclusive with signs, but there's only one direction you can enter it. And so it's a one-way for sure.
Or you like the one way on Egyptian Trail right now?
Stop.
Okay, just saying.
Just one, you made me think of this. We might want to link, I'm sure there's a YouTube video that we could link to on how to navigate roundabouts. I mean, once you do it a couple times, it's pretty easy, but the first time, or second time could be a little bit daunting for some people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Very good, Anthony. Okay, we'll move on to the attorney's report.
I have no report, Your Honor.
What?
Under old business, we have a board action request, permission to bid the roof at a building we purchased.
I'd like to address
It's
that.
tabled from 10/25, yes, sir.
I asked for that to be tabled at the time because I wanted to do some additional work, again, with the levies that are being frozen, with the 2% reduction in revenue. Every penny counts. We really have to be very careful. I have been able to tour the facility since, as has Trustee Horn, and I think Trustee Gray is planning on, hasn't been there once before. We would sit down and reviewed some of the cost, Long-term, this will be under the next year's budget, we'll be talking about how we think we're going to spread out the total cost. We're looking at $830,000 now, plus the cost of a roof, which is anybody's guess, and there are some pretty hefty guesses, but we need to go ahead and get that done in order to be able to go to the next step, which we would then take into probably to the Finance Committee. So based upon that, I will go ahead and make the motion that we proceed.
Did I hear a second? Anthony? Any other discussion on it? I just want to mention that I toured it also with Trustee Holston and Orm. And DJ took us on a tour, and there's water. The roof's in trouble, not major. We're hoping that they can probably just put, what would you call it, David? Like a covering over it, like a spray of some kind or something. It's an older building, and the nails that hold the roofing down, they have a washer with them, and some of the washers have deteriorated. That's caused some leaks. So, okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Blue?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Razor?
Yes.
Vincent?
Okay, the next thing under old business, I'm going to refer to our attorney for, Mr. Grzuski.
Thank you, Your Honor. If the board recalls, I believe we passed a special use permit on behalf of for the applicant, Joseph Krakowski. He is here tonight. If the board recalls, Mr. Krakowski went through quite a long process to receive a special use permit. He appeared before the zoning board, then he appeared before this present board with respect to his request. He basically does not do gun sales, but gun transfers. It was reviewed for the past 6 months, and as far as we can determine, there's been no incidents of any type of nature that would cause any concern to the village. It appears as though in the last 7 months it's been issued. I believe he's had roughly 8 transactions without any type of incident. So Mr. Rakowski is here tonight if there's any questions from this board, but he did adhere to the terms of the special use permit, and it is reviewed tonight before the board in case there are any type of situations. So all he is doing here tonight is presenting himself for any questions that the board may have.
So it's open to discussion right now.
I have a question. So, how's business?
I've completed 8 transactions since the 4th of July. It's just the side business to keep me occupied. It's the side business to get a little extra revenue, time to work, everything's going up as stated in the meeting tonight. So I've done 8 transactions, and the attorneys keep using the special use permit term. That wasn't issued. Just want to make sure that was clear. There was a change of the ordinance allowing the home-based business in the town with a special review for the first time at 6 months. I did not get a special use permit.
That's correct.
Correct. I just want to make sure that everybody's clear, so we got some new faces, that's all. Thank you.
And in your business engagements with people, have you come across anything unusual, or all their paperwork was in order, everything went smoothly with all these transactions?
Correct. Every background check came back positive, approved, and they seem to be in sound mind as much as talking to them, They didn't make any suggestions about going to do anything crazy or stupid.
I'll just make a couple of comments if you don't mind. You jumped through every hoop the state has, followed every regulation. The business you have is not unique. There's other communities that have this same business going on. So thank you very much for showing up tonight. We said we'd do this in 6 months, and we're doing it. Does anyone else have any other questions for him?
I just have a comment. I know that when this came up, there's concern about traffic. There's no traffic. There's concern about who would be at the home when the seller was showing up, and Joe has the right to turn these people down. You have to be 21, I believe, to sign for whatever package. Yeah.
That is correct, Dave. I mean,
Yes. Again, as the mayor said, he's jumping hoops. There's nothing going on. There is somebody watching his house 24/7 when he does the dishes, so let's keep up the good work.
that's scary because I am one of them. I am regulated by the ATF, the federal government. They give me a packet of what I have to follow, dot the i's, cross the t's, do this, do that. State police, I have to contact them before any type of transaction happens. So, I mean, I have a pretty long list. As long as the government does what they're supposed to do, as we heard recently, I should be able to know yes or no if somebody has any issues that are not allowed to possess that item. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Larry, do we need any action on this?
No, sir. The applicant is showed up for compliance purposes, but no action necessary.
Thank you.
We'll move on to new business. If
I
there's no other
have
old
one
business.
other question.
Okay.
I wondered if we could have an update on where we're at with the traffic court.
Traffic court?
Do we have any update on next steps on?
The information was forwarded to the Mr. Holland at the circuit court, and we were having some email issues. I did double check with him. He did receive our response. He thanked the municipality for them to take a look at the traffic court, understood our position, and basically said thank you very much for taking a look at it, and that's where it's at right now. Yes, sir.
Any other old business?
I just got one thing. Any update on posting IMA? We still don't have either in our teams pretty much don't know what's going on.
That is, we have, as previously stated, we are updating or checking the current job description for that position, and we anticipate that to be posted shortly after the first of the year. And we'll take applicants at that point.
All right. I don't think I know, so I'm going to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other old business?
Does not having a meeting, the next meeting?
Well, that's going to come up under new business. We're going to talk about that right now.
Okay.
No, that's fine. Under new business, I think we need to discuss our yes or no on a November meeting at the date that's posted as of now.
Which is what? 22nd?
Yes. Yeah, it would be your 22nd. Today's the 8th.
You're right.
Yeah, we had this discussed because of Thanksgiving and what have you, and if we felt that we could do it without a meeting, that we would only have this meeting in November. I know we still have a couple committee meetings possibly going on, but I'm wondering how the trustees feel. You want to have a regular meeting the 22nd, or the question is, or not?
Does the administration have anything they anticipate coming up that we would need to talk about?
At this moment, we don't necessarily have anything that's pertinent. I would just advise the board that normal business goes on, and if something were to come up, we could certainly make that notification. But administration views that as a normal work day. It's really up to the board. We will certainly adhere to any decision this body makes. It's not a problem with us.
I might say that if we decide not to have the meeting, if something does come up that mandates us to do that in our mind, that carry on the day-to-day operation in the building, we will have a meeting. I'll call a special meeting if I have to. So,
If we do a resolution for Aqua, I believe the comments regarding Aqua are closed the end of this month. So to get a resolution in a timely manner that would be registered, we would have to do that at the next, we would have to do it at a board meeting in November. So I would say, it would be my recommendation to have a board meeting scheduled.
is that a motion, sir?
I don't think we need a motion for it
No,
because we
just
already
approve
have
it.
a.
Okay.
we
Well,
already
we need a
have one
board,
scheduled.
we need a board to vote on it.
A discussion, we're still in discussion.
Yes, sir.
We just did a telephone poll. We've already agreed we want to do this resolution. Is there any reason we can't do a telephone poll on this one and then vote on it at the next meeting? I'd hate to have a meeting just for this purpose. I mean, I don't mind having a meeting, I'll be here, but
Why can't we do a resolution now? Why can't we make a motion?
Normal procedure, new items have to wait until the next meeting.
Thank you.
Normally. It doesn't mean we can't do it, okay? I'll say it that way. We have the right to do it, I believe. Is that correct, Larry?
Yes, sir. If I may, with respect to the phone poll, ideally, that's the last alternative. That's usually the last recourse. On a motion of this nature, or when you spend money, it's best to come before the board before any further action is taken. The sentiment of the board is obvious with respect to Aqua. But again, ideally, in case it ever did come up, was formal vote action taken before December. We'd like to have a formal record taken with the minutes to reflect the vote of the board.
then I would agree with Trustee Horn that we need to have that meeting.
I guess the question is, who's going to be out of town? Maybe they don't want to. Okay, I'll be here. Okay.
3.
Then can we have that meeting on Monday?
Pardon me?
Monday or Tuesday that week?
3's okay. As we learned from our last mayor, 3 and then the mayor.
Point being 3 is legal, Trustee Curry.
All right, I will be here then. Doug, you will be here, and who else?
Of course, I'll be
That Wednesday?
Are we saying that we're looking to do our next, to hold our next board meeting for this one item?
Would we want to, we're discussing when, so if we do it, what about that Monday? Go ahead.
Monday or Tuesday? Trustee Blue, I can answer your question. The discussion was about holding the board meeting altogether. It would not be simply for that one. It would be a normal course of business board meeting. The way I understand it, we have 3 trustees that would be present. With the mayor being present, that would be a legal board meeting to hold it on the regular scheduled date and time, if you choose to do that.
So I would say, we don't need to do anything, hold it as scheduled.
Well, the only problem, Devin, I'm trying to be cognizant that staff and might have plans for that Thanksgiving that would involve travel as well. So I don't object to having it on that Monday, if it works better for everybody in general. I don't know if the attorney's available or everybody else. But I would think that there probably are people who have travel plans on that Wednesday, and it might behoove us to consider having that particular meeting on Monday.
Who's available for Monday?
I'm out there. I think we're making a big extended meeting on Monday.
Do it. Okay. And the discussion,
Well, we
we
need
need a motion
for
or to change the date.
We need a motion for that, Larry?
Yes, sir. If we're going to change the date, we need a motion.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second that.
It would be the date, November 20th. Any other discussion? I have a motion, please. second also? Roll call, please.
Gray.
Yes.
Halsted.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Raisik.
Yes.
Vincent. Yes. Blue.
Yes.
Okay. Any other new business?
Mr. Mayor, could I just confirm the date?
Monday, November 20th.
Monday, the 20th.
6:30, correct?
Okay, thank you. I went over my head.
Okay, any other new business?
Good evening. My name's...
I'm sorry, sir.
Not yet.
We're still on new business?
Sorry.
One second, I think we'll be there in one
You got it,
second.
thank
okay? Is there any other new business? If not, open to the public.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
My name is Jeff Eppenstein. I'm a business representative for the United Union of Roofers Local 11. While not a resident of Will County, I'm sorry, not a resident of Monee, I am a resident of Will County residing in Frankfurt. There was a bid that I believe for this village roof. I had seen it on a bid document that bid was due on 10/17. It appeared from what I could attain that it was moved until yesterday, 11/7. What is the current status of that bid? Is that project moved forward?
Go ahead, David.
Yes. That information would not be correct.
Okay.
The bid document concerning the Village Hall roof was opened and at a public meeting, and it was read aloud and subsequently voted on at this meeting with 3 bidders.
Okay.
And the village board accepted the lowest bid that was offered. What you may be referring to is the item that was taken off the table this evening, which is a roof, permission to go out to bid for a roof for another building that the municipality owns, a public works building.
Okay.
And that bid document will be forthcoming.
Okay. I believe the actual project that I'm talking about is the one you previously mentioned. So there was 3 bidders. If I understand correctly, it was Total Roofing and Construction, Morales Roofing, and RB Crowler. It was for a 60 square shingle roof, and I was told it was for this building.
And
That bid has been approved, and
it has, yes it has, and it was for this building, and I will trust you on the bidders. I know that the successful bidder was Total Roofing and Construction. However, if you say...
yeah, and when was that bid awarded, at which meeting?
It would have been the, I believe it was the previous board meeting, last board meeting.
10/25, I believe, correct?
Yes.
So the concerns that I'd like to raise in regards to that bid, and I understand while it has been awarded, obviously the board can amend, any decisions that it makes. The concern that I would like to state is that, being a prevailing wage project, as we all know, I'm preaching to the choir here, there's a set wage rate that all contractors have to pay their workers. There's also pretty standard of what material costs. There was a significant difference in that price from the low bid being about $29,500 to the next bid of just over $40,000. If we look at the contractor, Total Roofing Construction, and we kind of take a look at what it would take to put that roof on, the materials are $14,500, which leaves about $15,000 for labor on that project, on that particular bid. If you do the math at the labor rate and you account for the workers' compensation the employer has to pay plus all appropriate payroll taxes, that rate is about $105 to $110 per hour to the contractor. That would allow for approximately 138 man hours to do this project. That's 3 days for 6 workers. It's feasibly not practical that work can be done in that amount of time properly. So my concern to the village would be is A, how could there be that big of a difference in price with all things being equal through the Prevailing Wage Act, and what is the end result that the village is going to have to live with if the material was not comparable to what should be in the bid specs, if the labor that's being obtained is not being paid in compliance with prevailing wage law. The particular contractor, which I'm going to leave the information, has had a history with the federal government, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and he's been on 3 occasions cited for failure to use fall protection on his workers. So that's something that the village should certainly take into consideration, that if there were a worker injured on this property, there's going to be additional cost to this village here through that way. I'd also like to note that, you know, the contractor, or I should say, you know, as I would like to say, a responsible contractor would have workers that had served some type of a training program, an apprenticeship training, an accredited program. The other two bidders have workers that went through a 5-year extensive training program. They have OSHA 10-hour cards minimally. In many cases, they have an OSHA 30-hour card, so they're trained to avoid these type of safety hazards. They also are part of a random drug testing program, so it's a drug-free workforce. They go to continued education once they do become journeymen, and I think that that's the reason why, you know, the price for one contractor is going to be, you know, X, and the cost, or the bid for the contractor is going to be Y. And I would strongly urge the board to reconsider all of the, you know, the things that could possibly go wrong if the roof is not put on properly, if the workers are not following safety rules, as this company has illustrated they haven't in the past, and what ramifications if the roof blows off, if the roof is not improperly put on and we have leaks, if a worker is to be injured. And I would really like to urge the board to reconsider that bid in light of those facts. I'll leave the information, I'll leave my cards. If anybody would like to contact me, I'd be more than helpful to answer any questions additionally, or at this point if you have any.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else open to the public?
I'd
Yes.
just like to say, my name is Rich Galuzzi. I am a resident of Monee. I am also with Roofers Local 11. I've been roofing, my dad's a roofer. I've been doing this since I could run my butt up a ladder with a bundle for him. I've done everything from work on the roofs to estimate them, bid them, and I just want you guys know that the bid that you have for a roof of this magnitude is virtually impossible. I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know how they're going to do the roof period for that price. I mean, somehow, some way, someone's going to get ripped off somehow. So, just being a taxpayer in this town, I just wanted to just let you know that there's just no way he can do that roof, not for that price. So somewhere, somehow, the material's going to get, you're going to get really bad material, or he's going to rip his workers off. Just want to let you guys know. Thank you.
DJ, I have to ask you to come up, if you don't mind. I'm just asking you if all the contractors have the same specs.
Absolutely.
So they all have the same type of specs, from shingles to whatever. Okay?
May I ask a couple questions, Mr. Mayor? Is the prevailing wage being used for this bid?
Stated in the contract, yes.
Right. Are we bonding this company? Are they supposed to bond?
Yes.
And the warranty is the same for everybody? I understand the concern these gentlemen have, because I voiced the same concern at the last meeting, but if the conditions are the same and we have a contract, I don't know what else we can do at this point. We've already awarded the contract, but it's worth looking at before we award another one.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your input.
Thank you, Board.
Any other open to the public?
Getting up kind of slow.
My name, I tend to see that at 5824 West Roosevelt Street. I just wanted to go back to Trustee Blue when she mentioned Facebook as opposed to any other media to connect with the public. I'm seeing more and more and more people going on Facebook, and everybody's acknowledging what's going on. That's the buzz. They don't drive by the marquee every day, and they don't check the website every day for the village. But I'll tell you right now, they definitely do go on Facebook, and if you want to connect on Aqua and be able to get a poll of the community, that's where you're going to get it. She was dead on, okay? Concerning that roof, my question at the time of the last one was be sure it was going to be a tear-off and that they would replace wood if necessary. I had an acknowledgement that that was definitely part of it, so that was my issue on the roof. Thank you.
Thank you.
it was posted 7/22/05 PM on our Facebook link. Thank you.
Oh, it's been posted, good. Thank you, David. Any other open to the public?
I don't have open to the public, but I'd like to just make a comment. These mics are a joke. We got to get this problem fixed.
Okay, I'd like a motion to move into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
For the purpose of lease of real estate, section 2C5, and collective bargaining, C2. I'm sorry, now I'd like a motion, was that you? Roll call, please.
Holston.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Riza.
Yes.
Vincent. Yes. Blue.
Yes.
Walkers.
Can I have a motion, please, to go back into normal session?
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Riza.
Yes.
Vincent. Yes. Horn.
Yes.
Craig.
Yes.
Holston.
Yes.
Blue.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm available for autographs afterwards.
Roll call, please.
Holston.
Yes.
Riza.
That's on tape.